And now to details on our second leading story. Mali has set December 14 as the official launch of its national dialogue, which was put in place since May, taking in consultations from different local groups and communities. The dialogue, according to President Ibrahim Keita, is supposed to put Malians around the table and establish a new roadmap for the country. Ruth.
According to Malian President Keita, this so-called inclusive political dialogue will take the form of a congress where all the nation's driving forces are invited to the table. Ibrahim Keita hopes this time to avoid the failure he suffered in 2017 when he was pushed by protests to withdraw his plan to revise the constitution. Except that this initiative does not satisfy opposition leader Soumaïla Cissé or even former prime ministers. In addition, one of the country's leading civil society organizations has made it clear that it would not participate in this dialogue. So what impact will this have on Malian politics?
Sur la vie politique malienne, c'est la question que nous allons poser à notre expert du jour.
Tout à fait. And with us now is Malian journalist Idriss Sangare. Idriss, bonjour.
Bonjour. Good morning, Jerry.
And thank you for joining us on the program. President IBK called on the country's constituents, has called on all the country's constituents to a national dialogue, which is set for December 14. How is this news being received in Mali?
Well, President Keita's message has been heavily criticized online, on the internet, especially on Facebook. Malians have questions about the relevance of this discussion. He pronounced on the death of the French soldiers, but also on the National Inclusive Dialogue, where he mentioned the start date to be December 14. Although he called Malians to the table, the message was particularly addressed to the opposition leader, to part of the political class and civil society that had decided to boycott dialogue at the commune and regional level. The president was expected to clarify on 2 points: the binding and enforceable nature of the decisions that will be taken during the last stage of the dialogue. No such announcement has been made, and reactions have been long coming. Among others, Nuhum Sarr, a young political leader, stated that no sudden intentions of amends will lead to them participating in a political mechanism to paralyze social and political forces to revise the constitution and implement the anti-national agreement resulting from the process that's ongoing. So Mali faces armed groups and not particularly a political crisis. Do you think that a national dialogue is the actual solution? Well, it is more than necessary for Malians to talk to each other. Since the crisis of 2012, the social front has been in turmoil, particularly with repeated strikes over social demands concerning access to basic services in both the north and south of Mali. The population is tired in the face of increasing acts of bad governance and corruption. Between rebellions in the north and other multifaceted demands, the country needs to talk about the problems that are dividing it, and the entire political class is unanimous on the need to talk to each other and settle disputes so the country can continue to move forward. But many doubt that there's sincerity in President IBK, who, after announcing his intention to involve the political class in the organization of this national dialogue, finally took all the decisions without consulting the political class. And just a reminder, the appointment of the personalities in charge of conducting the dialogue were not consulted.
Idriss, let me just bring this here now. For some time now, there's been an anti-French sentiment in the country. Do you think that Mali can do without the Barkhane forces at this moment?
Well, honestly speaking, anti-French sentiment has been a reality since the first hours of the civil operation. Many had criticized at the time France's ambiguity about the situation in the region. However, with the recent attacks on Malian army posts, many Malians have publicly expressed their resentment at seeing the Malian military die in the presence of the Bakan forces who are supposed to support the Malian forces. And recently, there was the attack on Bulikesi in the north. A member of the assembly pointed to France's troubled game of the current situation in Mali, going so far as to accuse France of colluding with the terrorists. In addition to these few voices of the political class, there are also religious voices such as Sherif Usman Haidara and the very influential Mahmoud Diko. We have to acknowledge that the results of the Bakan forces are still pending, and Malians do not see the impact of the presence of the Bakan on the situation in the country, which continues to be bogged down by these security forces. And we have to say that 2/3 of the territory is affected by attacks by the terrorist groups.
Well, Idrissa, I'm afraid this is where we'll have to leave it. I'd like to thank you, though, for your insights and for sharing with us the latest on the national dialogue, which has now been set for December 14. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.
Merci.